Something remarkable is happening in the world of luxury. A generation raised on social media filters and fast fashion is turning its back on logos, embracing a philosophy of elegance that their grandparents would recognize and approve. In the boutiques of Paris and the vintage stores of Tokyo, 20-somethings are purchasing cashmere cardigans and silk scarves with the same discernment once reserved for those with inherited wealth and generational taste. The rise of quiet luxury among Generation Z represents one of the most unexpected cultural shifts of the 21st century, a complete rejection of the conspicuous consumption that defined millennial excess, replaced by something more subtle, more sophisticated, and infinitely more interesting. Walk through any university campus from Yale to Oxford, and you will notice a dramatic change in how young people present themselves. Gone are the oversized designer logos and flashy sneakers, replaced by understated neutral tones, classic silhouettes, and pieces that whisper rather than shout. This is not rebellion for rebellion's sake, but rather a thoughtful re-examination of what luxury truly means to a generation facing climate anxiety, economic uncertainty, and a deep skepticism of traditional status symbols. Generation Z, those born between 1997 and 2012, grew up witnessing the financial crisis, watched their parents struggle with debt, and came of age during a pandemic that fundamentally altered their relationship with consumption and value. These experiences created a cohort uniquely positioned to appreciate quiet luxury, the anti-fashion movement that prioritizes quality over quantity, timelessness over trends, and subtle sophistication over obvious wealth displays. The term quiet luxury gained mainstream attention in 2023 following the success of the television series Succession, where characters dressed in expensive yet logo-free clothing that signaled their wealth through fabric quality and impeccable tailoring rather than brand recognition. But for Generation Z, this aesthetic represents more than television-inspired fashion. It embodies their values of sustainability, authenticity, and a rejection of the performative wealth culture that dominated social media in the 2010s. Young consumers are now spending hours researching heritage brands, learning about fabric compositions, studying the history of craftsmanship, and investing in pieces they intend to wear for decades rather than seasons. The resale market for luxury goods has exploded, driven primarily by Gen Z buyers who see more value in a vintage Hermès scarf or a pre-owned Rolex than in the latest trendy accessory from a fast fashion retailer. This generation approaches luxury with a curator's eye, seeking pieces with provenance and story, items that have already proven their longevity and will continue to hold value both aesthetically and financially. If you are fascinated by this cultural transformation and want to explore more about authentic elegance and the evolution of luxury, please subscribe and activate the bell notification to support our channel and join this conversation about meaningful style. The psychology behind Generation Z's embrace of quiet luxury reveals something profound about how young people are redefining success and status in the modern world. Unlike previous generations who signaled wealth through obvious designer handbags and luxury cars, Gen Z recognizes that true sophistication lies in knowing, not showing. They understand that a perfectly tailored wool coat from a heritage Italian mill communicates more about taste and discernment than any logo-covered outfit ever could. This shift reflects a broader movement toward what sociologists call stealth wealth, the practice of possessing significant resources while deliberately avoiding ostentatious displays that might attract attention or judgment. For Generation Z, this approach feels authentic rather than pretentious. It aligns with their values of substance over style, quality over hype, and long-term thinking over instant gratification. The economic realities facing young people today have also contributed to this embrace of quiet luxury, with student debt, housing costs, and economic uncertainty shaping their purchasing decisions in fundamental ways. Gen Z buyers are more likely to save for months to purchase one exceptional cashmere sweater than to buy 10 cheap alternatives, viewing the investment as both practical and philosophical. They calculate cost per wear, research brand ethics and sustainability practices, and consider resale value before making purchases, approaching luxury with the analytical mindset of informed investors rather than impulsive consumers. The influence of sustainable fashion movements cannot be overstated in understanding GenerationZ's relationship with quiet luxury. Having grown up with constant reminders of climate change and environmental degradation, this generation feels genuine guilt about waste and overconsumption. Quiet luxury offers a solution to this moral dilemma by investing in timeless, well-made pieces that last decades rather than seasons. Young consumers can participate in luxury culture while maintaining their environmental values. Brands like the Loro Piana, and Brunello Cucinelli have become cult favorites among Gen Z precisely because they represent this intersection of exceptional quality, minimal branding, and sustainable production practices. These companies focus on artisanal craftsmanship, using natural fibers, traditional techniques, and transparent supply chains that appeal to young consumers demanding accountability from luxury brands. The aesthetic choices of Generation Z within quiet luxury reveal a sophisticated understanding of color, texture, and proportion that goes beyond simple minimalism. Their preferred palette consists of neutral tones like cream, camel, navy, gray, and black, colors that work together effortlessly and never look dated or trendy. They layer textures expertly, combining silk blouses with wool trousers, cashmere cardigans over cotton shirts, creating visual interest through subtle contrasts rather than bold patterns or logos. The fit is always impeccable, neither too tight nor too loose, reflecting an understanding that proper tailoring is the foundation of elegant dressing regardless of the base garment's price. Generation Z has also embraced vintage and second-hand luxury with an enthusiasm that surprised industry analysts. Platforms like Vestiaire Collective and The Real report that their fastest-growing demographic is buyers under 30 seeking pre-owned designer pieces. This preference for vintage luxury serves multiple purposes. It is more affordable than buying new, more sustainable than supporting fast fashion, and often results in more unique pieces with character and history. Young buyers scour estate sales and vintage boutiques for Hermès scarves from the 1970s, Cartier watches from the 1980s, and designer coats from decades past, treating each discovery like a treasure hunt. The thrill lies not just in the acquisition but in the knowledge that they own something rare, something with a story, something that connects them to luxury heritage in an authentic way. Social media has played a complex role in Generation Z's relationship with quiet luxury. While platforms like Instagram and TikTok initially celebrated loud, logo-heavy fashion, recent years have seen a dramatic shift toward content celebrating understated elegance. Influencers now post capsule wardrobe videos, styling the same high-quality basics in multiple ways, demonstrating that true style comes from knowing how to wear clothes rather than simply owning many clothes. The most popular fashion content among Gen Z increasingly focuses on investment pieces, explaining why a $400 cashmere sweater represents better value than four $100 alternatives. These creators discuss fabric quality, construction techniques, and brand heritage with the expertise of seasoned collectors, educating their peers about the markers of genuine luxury versus marketing hype. The workplace expectations of Generation Z have also influenced their embrace of quiet luxury. As young professionals enter corporate environments and creative industries, they recognize that dressing well opens doors and creates opportunities. However, unlike previous generations who might have worn obvious status symbols to signal ambition, Gen Z prefers the subtle power of impeccable tailoring and quality fabrics. They understand that a well-cut blazer in excellent wool communicates competence and seriousness more effectively than any logo could, that clean leather loafers suggest attention to detail and respect for professional standards. This generation has also observed how the ultra-wealthy actually dress, noticing that billionaires and old money families rarely wear obviously branded clothing, instead favoring bespoke suits and custom-made pieces that fit perfectly and last indefinitely. The democratization of fashion knowledge through the Internet has empowered Generation Z to make sophisticated choices previously available only to those with insider access or inherited taste. Young people now educate themselves about fabric compositions, learning to distinguish between different grades of cashmere, understanding thread counts in cotton shirts, and recognizing quality construction details like hand-stitched buttonholes and French seams. They follow master craftsmen on social media, watching videos of Italian shoemakers creating bespoke footwear and Swiss watchmakers assembling complicated movements, developing deep appreciation for the skill and time required to create true luxury. This knowledge transforms shopping from impulse to intention, from consumption to curation, fundamentally changing their relationship with luxury goods. The financial investment strategy behind Generation Z's approach to quiet luxury demonstrates remarkable maturity and long-term thinking. Young buyers increasingly view certain luxury purchases as alternative investments similar to art or collectibles. They research which designer handbags hold or increase in value, which watch brands maintain strong resale markets, and which classic pieces from heritage houses become more valuable over time. A Birkin bag or a Rolex Submariner is seen not just as a fashion choice but as a wearable asset that can be passed down to future generations or sold if financial circumstances change. This investment mindset encourages careful, considered purchases rather than impulsive buying, reinforcing the quiet luxury emphasis on timeless classics over fleeting trends. The gender fluidity of Generation Z has also influenced how quiet luxury manifests in their wardrobing choices. Young people increasingly reject rigid gender categories in fashion, embracing pieces based on quality and fit rather than traditional masculine or feminine designations. Oversized blazers, silk shirts, cashmere sweaters, and tailored trousers move fluidly between genders, styled according to individual preference rather than prescribed rules. This approach aligns perfectly with quiet luxury's emphasis on classic, well-made basics that transcend both gender and time, creating wardrobes built on versatility and personal expression. The result is a more inclusive, thoughtful approach to luxury that celebrates individuality within a framework of timeless elegance. Looking forward, the influence of Generation Z on the luxury industry will likely accelerate trends toward transparency, sustainability, and authentic craftsmanship. Brands that cannot adapt to these values risk losing relevance with the consumers who will define luxury for the next 50 years. Young buyers demand to know where materials come from, how workers are treated, what environmental impact production creates, and whether products are built to last or designed for obsolescence. Quiet luxury satisfies these demands naturally, as it inherently prioritizes quality, longevity, and responsible consumption over wasteful excess. The new generation of elegance is not about rejecting luxury but redefining it, stripping away the superficial and retaining only what matters: craftsmanship, quality, timelessness, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have chosen well.